Hey guys, and welcome back. So we have a fun discussion topic. So by the way, if you guys ever want to see anything you recommend or tweet or anything like that in a video like this, be sure to leave them down below or send them to me on Twitter, etc. Just fun discussions. So I hope you guys enjoy. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe, and join the convo down below in the comments, and post what you guys think is the answer to the following question. And that is, which ultras in Dragon Ball Legends are the most brain dead versus which ones are the most skillful? Now, to reiterate, this idea was sparked by Chatterbox's tweet here, and this is something that was on my timeline. Somebody retweeted, and I thought it was interesting about a week ago. And this graphic depicts a split: skilled ultras versus non-skilled. What they mean by this is ones you have to kind of know how to play the game with versus ones that kind of just hold your hand. They're, like I said, quote-unquote brain dead. So how does this chart look for you when it comes to the most skill-intensive characters and which ones are the most brain dead? So quick caveat or disclaimer. So skill is not gone from the game anymore. And what I mean by that is, like, if I come in with Ultra Hit, and I'm versus a way better player with Ultra Hit, even at equivalent star levels, all that, they're going to probably be better with that character and thus win the game. That's naturally just what skill is. Skill isn't as dominating as it was for a while, because now the average player can get Rose or Kid Buu and shred even the best players if they don't have equivalent characters, because these characters on the right hand side of this kind of just play the game for you. So it's not as relevant, but it's not gone completely. And the reason why this is an interesting topic is because characters like, let's just use Kaioken because he's right in the front. You do have to manage Kaioken a certain way. You don't have to manage the other characters the same way. You have to know where his gauge is at to get peak efficiency at it. You want to know where it's at all times. You want to know how far away you are from filling it so you can instantly get another advantage back. Things like that, right? The other characters don't have, the ones on the other half anyway, don't have that. Now, he's not showing all of the ultras. This I thought was hilarious. I thought this was hilarious. I scrolled down and there's a fixed version. And he adds Broly in and says he just exists. And then I scroll down further. There's another one. Doesn't exist. I thought this was so funny, man. Okay. So let me know how that looks for you guys. What do you think are the most skillful / most brain dead characters in Legends? So now, let's get into mine. We're going to do this in a tier list format. So disclaimer for this is that this is not a how strong is the character tier list. It's not, if I put like Gogeta at the very top in slot 1, it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean he's the best character here or anything like that. So hardest is going to be the ones that you, like I said, Kaioken, you have to manage the most. You have to know the most about their kits, things like that. And then C is actually supposed to be brain dead. These are going to be the characters like Rose. And I'm already telling you where some of these characters are going to go because they're just kind of, they're obvious. And then is going to be characters that are like, what? They're gonna, the laughing emoji, right? They're going to be like your free-to-play ultras because they're just there. Okay, so starting with, we're going to just briefly talk about Goku here. I don't really have anything to say. That's me talking. That's my TED talk on Goku. I just don't have anything to say. These characters, the free ultras, I am going to do a video for him soon, but to kind of just briefly talk about just all the free ultras, they're all going to be missing various things from their kit, like lack of blast armor on their ultimate, or lack of combo extension through means of, like, you know, sub counts or nullifying cover changes. They're just going to be missing all the best stuff. And whereas the characters like Rose or Hit, they're going to have all the best stuff. Neutrality, things like that. So these characters, that just encompasses all of them. They're going to have different things that they do, like disruption or stuff like that, but it just, they're not really worth mentioning. So they're just going to stay here for the most part. So Kid Buu, arguably the best character in the game right now. Kid Buu is an insane threat. If you ever come across this guy, be careful because he will shred you to pieces without a moment's notice. So Kid Buu is a major player in the game right now. So Kid Buu, I'm going to be honest, very brain dead character. Very brain dead character. You know when characters start really getting crazy is when they kind of just do a million things on just playing the game. And what I mean by that is, like, as you're playing, this is what's happening. The following effects occur when the enemy activates the Rising Rush while he's out there. He restores Vanishing Gauge by 100%, cancels enemies, attribute upgrades, and buff effects. And then if he's your last character, he's going to get a full gauge. He's going to nullify their ability to nullify his endurance. Things are just spontaneously activating when they do stuff, right? And then also right here, applies the following effects itself every time an arts card is drawn while he's on the battlefield. This is not something that you even like interact with at all. These are just effects that are passively happening. That's the literal definition of brain dead. So like, he's constantly drawing cards because he has high draw speed, etc. So he's not really doing much to work for what he's getting. So since that's the case, this guy is going to be in a prime position to be extremely dominant. And that's just some of the stuff he's doing. Like I said, he has this whole playstyle where if he gets his green card, you might as well forfeit, because what's going to happen with the green card is he's going to change his blasts and strikes, which is peak for him. Also, he's going to nullify your cover changes. He's going to draw a blue card on hit if the gauge is full, and don't let the gauge be full, because if the gauge is full and he uses that blue card, he's going to do a no switch on you. Like, this is stuff that like you don't have to. They just do the stuff. You don't have to work for anything. So I love Kid Buu as a character. I think his design is really awesome, but I can't argue the fact that just spontaneously the way his kit flows into the next thing for you by itself, he goes here. It is what it is. I'm not gonna spend as much time on Rose because I feel like while Kid Buu is arguably the best character, for the record, like 4 or 5 of these characters can be interchangeable as best or fifth. It doesn't really matter. I think while Kid Buu is there, you guys probably have seen Rose enough and have probably been frustrated by him a lot. Like I have. Rose is the one character that really just pisses me off when I come to play in this game, because he has some stuff that even like Kid Buu doesn't really have as much of. Like Kid Buu doesn't have neutrality, which Rose does have. Rose's whole playstyle is he's gonna do a crap ton of negative effects, paralysis, bleeds, blah blah blah, restore, vanish here, just to be annoying, right? He's gonna constantly destroy your cards, and then he's going to throw a bunch of ultimates at you, a bunch of blue cards. It's just all spontaneous stuff that happens. Again, you don't really have to work for anything. So that being said, he's also going into the brain dead category. And notice as well what's happening too with these characters. They are just constantly healing all the time. Like Rose right here, applies the following effects itself every time when faced with an enemy. This triggers, and by the way, draw speed and key. This triggers when you switch or when he enters the battlefield. So just, if you're versus Rose, you really don't want to switch a lot. But yeah, they're just getting spontaneous effects of healing constantly, so they never die. And then also they're going to have crazy combo crazy combo length as well. So that'll help them offset the combo compensation. I am not going to talk about Vegeta because what I said about Goku applies to him. I will throw a quick bone to Omega, our last free-to-play Ultra character. I do think we should get another one sometime soon. I don't know why they haven't done one in a really long time. They've only been, you know what it is? The reason why is because they've been selling us Ultras on a monthly basis, basically. So that's probably the real reason as to why. So hopefully we get one sooner than later. Anyway, but I will throw him a bone because he has the most unique Ultra ability in the entire game. It's a support style one. So allies are getting buffs. So that's completely unique. So really cool to see that. But again, he's still staying in the same spot. Just wanted to throw him a bone. No, I briefly considered putting him in moderate. And I briefly considered putting Gogeta in moderate. But no. But no. I didn't even seriously consider it. I just briefly thought about it. Like, can I? Because no. So Gogeta, here's the deal. The same thing I said about Rose. You guys have probably been frustrated by Gogeta. Gogeta does all the same stuff that the other characters are doing, where they're just spontaneously getting stuff. But his spontaneous gimmick, well, like some of the other stuff, like the healing or blah blah blah. But his thing is the gauge, right? So when his gauge activates where it's full, this guy is gonna pop his all-encompassing blast-based counter. The craziest thing about that, there's two things that are really crazy about this guy's effect, the gauge for his effect, is that it activates mid-combo. It's basically a built-in special cover change versus blast arts, right? Basically a built-in special cover change. The funny thing about that too is they force you into trying to use it because they destroy your strikes, right? So you're stuck with basically using a blast or ending your combo. And when you do use the blast and you trigger his gauge, he's gonna get a free blue card and the key. I believe he also gets the key to use it right then and there, and to basically get, again, like I said, a special cover change comboed into a blue card right in your face simply because you played the game. Yeah, literal definition of brain dead. And you know the crazy thing about this is that there are also situations where he is going to counter your like Kamehamehas, things like that, because they're beam-based attacks as well. I've seen that happen. That to me is maybe a beat too far, man. He should at least have had it restricted to being blast arts, and that type of design is terrible. There's no interaction with that. There's not anything you can do. So what I typically do is I just basically give him the gauge. I'll just throw a yellow character in and just use a blast or something, or I'll try to rush him or whatever, you know, just to get him out of there. Because if you let his gauge stay, he's going to control the tempo of the game, and he's going to take away complete options away from you because you can't do anything but use strikes. So, like, or use an ultimate and try to kill him. You get my point. But, yeah, that gauge is something else, man. And then also, the Rising Rush way that he functions, too, where he is going to be getting, the Vanish up as well. Let me just go ahead and pull it up here. The Vanish up and then nullifies enemies' health when it reaches 0 effects. So he has a built-in nullify endurance effect on his Rising Rush. This is one of the best methods of having this. It's not as good as like the Android 17 and 18 and a bunch of characters like Demon King Piccolo or Rildo, or anyway, characters that have that version of it where they're always doing it. But still, on the Rising Rush, having it to where they can't do anything about it, it's pretty crazy. And if you happen to miss your Rising Rush, don't worry, because he got a full gauge back, a full Vanish gauge back from that. Just spontaneous stuff activating, you know, that has no real counterplay to it. So definition of brain dead. I could go on and on about him. Now, this is where things get kind of fun, because we're finally... okay, I'll just throw Hit here, too, before... because he's going to be at the end, and he's going to be anticlimactic. Hit's also pretty brain dead. I kind of think Hit's here. What do you guys think about that? I kind of think Hit is here. Let me explain. So Hit's gimmick is the time stop, which is, by the way, broken as hell. If he lands a time skip, you are going to lose a character. Well, most of the time. I've had situations where I haven't because whatever, but most of the time that's a free character kill. So it's a broken as hell ability. However, it has counterplay. You can just tap him out of it. I do that all the time. They try to go for it. I just do a tap punch and he can't do it. But that's what I talked about earlier when I said skills not gone. Because any good player, I don't want to say anybody's bad, but like a good player isn't going to let that happen. They're going to find an opportune time to try it. You know, they're not going to let that happen. They're going to get what they need. So I think that that's where the skill delineation exists again with some of these effects, right? Versus, like I said, Gogeta Blue's gauge, that has nothing to do with skill at all. That has nothing to do with timing either. That is completely out of your hands. The game literally does that for you. All you have to do is click button and go, right? So but outside of that the fact you can stop the time skip, Hit is very brain dead because he has a lot of stuff that's just free given to him. But that's just, I've talked about that stuff a lot, but I can't punish every character for that because that's just simply the design of characters now, right? I mean, it's the truth, but it's still just the way characters are designed now. But I guess compared to the others, probably not as much. So that's where I'm going to leave him. However, the problem with leaving him there is that it makes it more difficult for the last 4 Ultras to make it there. Because I think I need like a middle tier between moderate and brain dead. That's where Hit should be. Because I think that if I were to put like Vegito here, you know, then he's not on the same tier as Hit. I think Hit would be in between tier. Because I don't think he's as brain dead as the other 3, but I don't think he's on the same level, right? I guess I can just create one as opposed to just, you know. That's going to be Hit's tier, right? This new one is just for Hit. We're going to put Hit here. Because I need one in between. Okay, so Broly, I think, is moderate. And Broly actually, I think, had a chance to be on the top row. But I think that he has a lot of the stuff, too, that also kind of spontaneously activates. So when you hit Broly too much, his gauge activates. And when his gauge activates, this is what happens. Reduces enemies' vanishing gauge to 0% 4 times. Broken effect. Completely broken effect. Taking their gauge off because they hit you is broken. And one thing I like to do after that is retaliate with like a full screen, well, it depends what happens, right? If you can do it. A full screen like Strike Blast Armor. Like he's going to have Blast Armor and Strike, right? Things like that. Reduces their ki, destroys a card, reduces their Dragon Ball one time. He'll restore 15% of his health, and he heals all the time. Broly is always healing. He also picks up Nullify special cover change and cancels own attribute downgrades. So here's the thing about this character, that the reason why I said that he has a chance to be on the top is because him and Vegito, is it only him and Vegito? I think it's only him and Vegito among the summonable Ultras that have a tough time getting their Nullify effect. Like, other characters are getting it on uniques or on greens. I'm not gonna fact check that right now. Nullify, yeah, right here. When the gauge is full, then the gauge is full, but he gets it on the green too, doesn't he? Nullifies unfavorables, nullify, yeah. This guy gets it twice, bro, like, goddamn. And so that effect is the most brain dead effect, I think, in the game, because you can stop any counterplay. Nullifying cover change. So, like, I believe that it's only him and Vegito that struggle to get that effect. And so, since that's the case, unless Broly has it elsewhere, so since that's the case, I had a strong chance to put him on the top. Now, another thing about Broly is that Broly also... special actions is what I need. Yeah, he only has it here. So Broly also has this special cover change that's like top... Okay, it's like top 4 in the game because you have multiple variations of some of the other ones. There's Cover Rescue, there's Bojack, then there's the like Beast Gohan version, which is just a flat-out upgraded version of the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta style one. And then there's this one where he can cover change into blue cards, which is just the dumbest thing ever, right? Not going to be back to long range if cover change are performed against the following attacks twice. So he can do it. He can send them back versus strikes, versus blasts, versus greens, versus blues, and even some awakened arts. What awakened art? What is that? Like is that one to be like a Cyberman one? Like he can't do that versus like Bojack, can he? Red Bojack, can he? That's crazy. So yeah, a character can just nullify on the special cover change your blue card and then throw another blue or green back in your face. This is also really broken stuff. So like, he has some really brain dead stuff in his kit. Green card restores Vanish too. No switch. Yeah, he's got some really brain dead stuff on his kit. Imagine Broly. Here's where Broly gets really scary. Imagine you like lost your full Vanish gauge or whatever. And then he throws this green at you from full screen with blast armor, right? And now you can't switch. You can just get an instant free kill, right? You can't do anything. Or even mid combo, just throwing the green at you because you can't switch, right? Yeah, Broly is Broly is a character that should be better than he is. Anyway, Kaioken. I think Kaioken is our first candidate for hardest. The reason why with Kaioken is because you have to, like I mentioned earlier, know everything that's happening at all times. So Kaioken was always a character that had really, really high peaks and really low lows. What that meant was that if you were managing him well, he could pop off like nobody else. Like he would do some of the longest combos in the game. He probably still can do some of the longest combos in the game. Probably other than like Beast Gohan, he's probably like top 3, right? So anyway, but what that meant was if you weren't managing him right, you weren't getting any of the same benefits. So when his gauge is full, he has a charge-based one, and he actually comes after LF Cell, who had the same style, but he has a rapid restore on it. It's such a drastic difference from where Cell's is without the equip that they had to design and equip and give Cell rapid upgrade or whatever on his too. So anyway, he gets built up. And this is another issue. Characters that also come out nowadays, they are not really building up as much. They have some build up in there, but Kaioken is like dependent on the build up. He has I think 110% on entry, don't get me wrong, but he still wants to get that build up fully done. But when he goes, he gets the green card, and there's no limit to how many times he's getting a green card, by the way. And just to reiterate, the green card gives him ki, a card, and extra build up damage. So there's that. He also restores his health by 15% 7 times, plus 40% to next strike damage inflicted up to 80, plus 40% to blast up to 80, plus 20% special move up to 40. Notice how they had to put all these caps on it, because if you had a really long combo going, you're not going to be able to do anything. Also reduces next damage sustained by 20%, cannot be stacked, or also applies to the enemy's combos over. And then he gets a full Vanish gauge 5 times. This last line is really, really, really powerful, because you could be in a situation where your gauge is just a half-second charge away from being full, so that when you vanish their next attack, you have time to do that really small, slight, quick charge and get a second vanish. It's not as strong or as powerful as like freaking what's her name that just came out, Kiawe, where she instantly just gets a free extra vanish. It's probably not even as good as 17, where he gets like what, 70% or whatever. Like, it's not as good as those in the aggregate, I guess, but it's still really, really strong to get that. So you also had to manage that, but also he had the draw speed and stuff like that. And another really strong gimmick for this character was the constant strike ceiling. So this doesn't really have much to do with you, but this will be a really strong deterrent for the opposition when they try to switch versus him. And then lastly, he has nullify cover change, but it's only on the main ability. So here's my but it's for 30 counts. 30 counts is a super long time with this guy because his combos can be really long. So my only gripe with this effect is when it's in the wrong places for a character. So if this was on his green, I'm gonna just say it, it would be broken as hell. You would never be able to stop him because when his gauge is full, he'd redraw another green. And it would give him that, and it would give him a card. You see what I'm saying? And he's gonna just never stop. He's literally never gonna stop, which is why I said 30 counts is a really long time, because you can get an approximation of that style of effect where he just doesn't stop, right? Anyway, but I don't like it when characters have it in other places. Let me know how you guys feel about this effect and where it's placed. Like, I don't like it on green Super Saiyan 3 Goku Dragon Fist, because he has, or like, you know, Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, the yellow one, whatever, other characters. I don't like it on the passive effects where they get it like 3 times for 10 counts, because what if you switch into on defense? You're just eating like all of that or like half of that timer count, and then you have to start a combo quickly to use it at all. Otherwise, that entry was just wasted entirely, right? Things like that. Or if you enter like, and then your combo ends relatively soon because of whatever reason, maybe you do something you shouldn't do or whatever, it's just kind of sketchy. But the main ability also can be kind of sketchy because I don't love drawing my main ability early. And so you sometimes with the main ability one are kind of in situations where you need to draw your main early because there's a prime opportunity to get a full combo. And if you don't draw the main right there, you're going to miss out on a higher, threshold for damage, right? Because it's early, but you see that you need the special cover change nullification right then and there. So I think the green card is the prime time to get it. But then you run the risk of, well, when do I get a green card? That's why the best characters also find a way to supply themselves, like the green cards sometimes or things like that, have a lot of draw speed. Okay. Vegito. But so this, I could kind of use another tier between hardest and moderate for Vegito. Damn. I'm gonna put my phone going off. I'm gonna put him here. But I really think I could use one in between, because here's the deal with Vegito. If you don't get his tap shot counter, like, does Vegito just have the flat out worst gauge at all these characters? It might be Super Gogeta, but does Vegito just have the worst gauge? I mean, that's a serious question. Let me see it. Restores gauge every time enemy uses a strike or blast arts. Wait. wait a minute. The following effects occur after the enemy's attack is over. While charging forward with a strike, if own gauge is at 30% or more, consumes entire gauge to counter tap shots or blasts, dealing impact damage. And then when it activates, okay, I was like, there's got to be more to this, right? But there's utility in his gauge. There's immense utility in his gauge. It's a skillful thing. That's why he's higher on the list. But the overall like aggregate effects, it's basically just a free strike damage hit. It's just not an impressive gauge. But again, there's utility in it. Anyway, I'll leave it up to you. Do you think he has the worst gauge? So anyway, since you have to land that gauge, which can be kind of tricky to land just depending on situation, to get your special cover change nullification, he's kind of iffy in terms of like how handholdy he is. But if you get that and you have the green, he does a lot of fun stuff. He goes neutral. He's going to get a really long combo because he's going to get all the draw speed and just blah, blah, blah. He's going to pop off. But he doesn't have nullified cover change most of the time, so that really hampers him. So I'm not really going to spend much more time elaborating on him, but that gauge is kind of janky, and it's the only way he's getting that effect, unlike some other characters. So this guy, here's a fun fact. This guy is our original summonable Ultra, but he's also super duper brain dead. I don't really know if people remember this, but Gogeta was the ultimate handhold character. Like, seriously, this guy was the ultimate handhold character. He was... I mean, hold on. So, he's the literal definition of click buttons. So, let me just explain this. You use a couple cards, you get the blue card, and then he gives it to you. He gives you a blue card for free, and you click the blue card, right? He gets the nullify cover change on the green card, so don't worry, you're gonna be able to go full-fledged. You're not gonna have to worry about anything. And then as the match starts dwindling down, when 2 allies are defeated, he'll just destroy a card, give you a second ultimate for whatever reason. And by the way, hold on. When 1 ally is defeated, he's gonna instantly, just for no reason, do no switch. Just for no reason. And then he'll do it again. I think he does it twice. He'll get a free second ultimate, right? Just for no reason. Shorten ally sub count, so you can't rush him. Well, you probably can, but you may not be able to because it's only by 5, right? You try to rush him, he's not going to let you do it. He has a strike cover in that goes into the blue cards, then the blue card will destroy your whole hand. Like, his kit is nowhere near as impressive as the newer characters, but on the surface, I don't really know if people remember how handholdy this character is. He also had, like, blast armor too, so there's the utility of that. Like, there's just not a lot of things to do with this guy. You just click strike, click strike, click strike, click strike, full gauge, blue card. It is what it is. It is what it is. And then if they destroy you, well, he's probably going to make a comeback because he also has, here's another fun thing. On his ultimate, he's got 30-second nullify endurance, which is like the best. Like, I don't think there's any character that has it longer than that unless it's just permanent. So, like, he just was designed to be the ultimate killer. So, ultra brain dead. He doesn't play the game for you. He doesn't have a mechanic that, like, is so oppressive. He has, like, some of the most oppressive stuff, like no switch, that doesn't really have any counterplay. But he doesn't have a stupid mechanic like Gogeta Blues Gauge, where it literally is it plays the game for you. You don't do anything. Well, okay, my bad. It gives you a free card that you then click. So yeah, but he's next to hit. He's next to hit. So this, I think, I feel pretty comfortable with this list. There could be some more tiers added in, but I didn't want to do that too much. So how do you guys feel about this? Yeah. And by the way, in between, like, brain dead, like, Kid Buu isn't the most brain dead character in the game. I mean, he might be, but that's not what I'm saying. It's not left to right or anything like that. They're just in the same tier. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Huge shout out to Chatterbox for the idea. And if you guys have any other ideas, please let me know so I can do them. And Orihime is trending. I don't want to click on that because last time I did, I saw some NSFW stuff. So we're leaving, and maybe I am clicking.